Hey everyone, glad you're here. Today we're looking at 27 things we happily bought in the 80s and the 90s and absolutely did not need.
The 80s and 90s, when our wallets were as loud as our hairstyles. 1. The Pet Rock 2.0. Tamagotchi Addiction. Approximately 180 words. Some people in the 90s bought homes. Others bought digital anxiety. The Tamagotchi, a small plastic egg that demanded constant attention, feeding, and pixelated love. It beeped like a smoke detector with separation issues, and yet millions of us carried them like newborns. You'd be in class, in traffic, or on a date, and suddenly, beep! Oh no, my fake alien just pooped itself again. Parents thought it would teach responsibility. Instead, it taught us heartbreak. The moment that screen flashed RIP, you learned grief, 8-bit style. And people didn't just buy one, some collected them like emotional support keychains. The peak of absurdity? Adults buying accessories for them, tiny blankets, fake food, even daycare services. We weren't raising digital pets. We were paying rent for imaginary roommates. 2. The ThighMaster Empire, approximately 160 words. Before Peloton, there was a piece of neon plastic that promised the impossible, inner thighs of steel. The ThighMaster, the gadget that made Suzanne Summers a billionaire and America's living rooms look like synchronized clamshell farms. You squeezed, you grimaced, and you convinced yourself this was fitness. The commercials made it look easy, all smiles and leotards, but in reality it was just a slow-motion cramp generator. Yet the marketing worked. Millions of people believed this $19 contraption could outsmart the gym. It wasn't exercise, it was public humiliation in spandex. And here's the kicker. Most ended up collecting dust under couches next to forgotten VHS tapes of Sweatin' to the Oldies. If you still have one, congratulations! You own both a fitness relic and a conversation piece for your next garage sale. 3. Crystal Pepsi. The see-through scam, approximately 170 words. Somewhere in a corporate boardroom, a genius said, "You know what soda needs? Transparency." And thus, Crystal Pepsi was born. A clear cola that looked like Sprite, tasted like sadness, and confused an entire generation. The marketing pitch was all about purity and innovation, as if removing the caramel color made it spiritually cleansing. It didn't. It just made people think their Pepsi had stage fright. Launched in 1992, it was supposed to be the future of soft drinks. Instead, it became the bottled embodiment of a midlife crisis. People bought it out of curiosity, drank half a bottle, and went right back to regular Pepsi like nothing happened. Pepsi eventually discontinued it, but not before millions of dollars evaporated, along with everyone's trust in clear products. It was the edible equivalent of New Coke, a reminder that sometimes when you fix something that isn't broken, you just invent disappointment in HD. 4. The Beanie Baby financial crisis, approximately 180 words. In the late 90s, America collectively decided that small, overstuffed bean animals were the key to generational wealth. Beanie Babies weren't toys. They were investments, the kind you stored in plastic cases and whispered about like stock options. Grown adults fought in mall parking lots over a pastel platypus named Patty. People took out second mortgages to buy limited editions. There were literal divorces where couples went to court to divide their Beanie Baby collection, item by item, like it was a furry version of the Federal Reserve. Ty, the company behind it all, printed artificial retirements for each toy, creating scarcity so powerful it could make a plastic crab seem like a 401k. When the market finally collapsed, the only thing people were left holding was regret and a mountain of plush animals worth less than a Happy Meal toy. The Beanie Baby boom was the first time in history people learned that emotional attachment doesn't appreciate in value. 5. The Home Shopping Network Trap, approximately 160 words. The 80s turned shopping into an Olympic sport. From your couch. Enter the Home Shopping Network, where hypnotic hosts waved cubic zirconia rings under soft lighting while shouting words like limited time offer and unbelievable deal. The shows were like sermons for compulsive shoppers, with phones ringing in the background like a slot machine of regret. Housewives, retirees, and anyone up past midnight were seduced by promises of luxury for $19.99 plus shipping. And once you started, you couldn't stop. You'd buy a miracle mop, a fake diamond bracelet, and somehow a decorative plate featuring Elvis in a tux. Weeks later, boxes piled up like cardboard shame monuments. Many buyers didn't even open them. HSN didn't sell products. It sold hope wrapped in 480 pence enthusiasm. It was Amazon before Amazon, except slower, shinier, and far better at ruining your credit limit. 6. The VHS fitness boom, approximately 190 words. If you didn't own at least 3 neon workout tapes in the 80s, were you even alive? There was a VHS for every lifestyle. Jazzercise, step aerobics, and something called sweating to oldies that looked like your aunt's wedding reception. Celebrities cashed in too, from Jane Fonda to Fabio, all promising that 20 minutes of bouncing in leg warmers could replace years of self-discipline. These tapes were the original influencers, half workout, half infomercial, and entirely absurd. The real workout wasn't the routine. It was rewinding the tape after you collapsed halfway through. People spent small fortunes on box sets that now live in Goodwill bins next to broken toasters. The best part? Every VHS came with that sweaty 1980s sincerity, the kind that made you believe your living room was a personal gym and your shag carpet was a yoga mat. In reality, all it built was guilt and static cling. But for a moment, it felt like fitness history in fuzzy resolution. 7. The car phone flex, approximately 175 words. In the late 80s, nothing screamed, "I've made it," like a car phone the size of a lunchbox. It wasn't for talking, it was for flexing. You'd drive one-handed while pretending to close million-dollar deals that were actually just lunch plans. The installation cost more than the car itself, and the monthly bill could finance a small yacht. Reception? Non-existent. You could hear everyone except the person you called. But that didn't matter. What mattered was being seen yelling, "Hold my calls, I'm on the road," into a brick with an antenna. The car phone turned every minivan driver into a wannabe Wall Street executive. Eventually, it became obsolete overnight, replaced by cell phones that fit in pockets instead of glove compartments. Today, those car phones sit in junkyards, silent monuments to a time when technology existed purely for showing off. They weren't communication tools, they were status symbols that connected you directly to debt. 8. The Laserdisc disaster, approximately 180 words. Imagine buying a pizza-sized DVD player for the price of a used car. Welcome to the Laserdisc era, when people believed bigger was better, even for movies. The discs looked like chrome UFOs, so large you could use them as mirrors or dinner plates. They promised superior quality, which was technically true if you didn't mind flipping the disc halfway through Titanic. Each movie cost about $40, and you needed a shelf the size of Nebraska to store them. The players themselves weighed more than some small dogs and sounded like jet engines taking off. But hey, at least you could brag about owning cutting-edge tech. Then DVD-S arrived, small and cheap, and the entire Laserdisc population went extinct overnight. Collectors still insist it had better sound, which is like saying Betamax had more soul. In the end, it was just one of the most expensive ways to watch Ghostbusters ever invented, a shiny lesson in how fast futuristic becomes yard sale material. 9. The McDonald's Arch Deluxe fiasco, approximately 180 words. In 1996, McDonald's decided kids weren't enough. They wanted the sophisticated adult burger market. So they launched the Arch Deluxe, a burger so fancy it had mustard mayo sauce and lettuce that wasn't shredded. They spent over $100 million on ads showing businessmen eating burgers in boardrooms, as if Ronald McDonald had just been promoted to middle management. The result? America shrugged. Turns out no one wanted to feel mature while eating fast food. It wasn't indulgent or fun. It was McDonald's trying to sell you adulthood between two buns. The price was higher, the flavor was meh, and the marketing screamed, "You're too old for Happy Meals, but here's a sad one instead." The burger flopped so hard it became a textbook example of overthinking a cheeseburger. Today, the Arch Deluxe lives on in corporate legend as the $100 million sandwich that proved adults just want fries, not existential dread with their combo meal. 10. The Pocket Pager obsession, approximately 165 words. Before smartphones, there was the pager, the world's most expensive way to say, "Call me back." In the late 80s and early 90s, owning one made you feel like a doctor, even if you worked at Blockbuster. You'd clip it to your belt, pretending you were on call for something important, like delivering a pizza. Each beep sent adrenaline through your veins. Who could it be? Your boss? Your crush? Nope. Just your mom reminding you to take out the trash. People spent hundreds on devices that didn't even let you reply. You had to find a payphone, meaning every urgent beep was followed by a scavenger hunt for quarters. And let's not forget the secret numeric codes: 143 for I love you, 911 for call me now, and 07734 because it spelled hello upside down. The pager wasn't communication, it was anxiety with a clip. But admit it, nothing beat that dopamine rush when it buzzed in public. 11. The collect call romance scam, approximately 170 words. The 90s were the golden age of the collect call, and the dumbest era of phone frugality. You'd call someone collect, meaning they paid for it, not you. The catch? People got clever and cheap. Instead of paying, callers would cram entire messages into the name field to avoid charges. Will you accept a call from "Pick me up at 7, I'm late, bye" became a national pastime. AT&T must have wept. Parents banned them, teenagers abused them, and the commercials begging you to dial 1-800-COLLECT featured celebrities trying to make reverse billing look cool. For a few shining years, America's phone system turned into a comedy of loopholes and desperation. Then, cell phones killed it all. Today's kids will never know the joy of tricking the phone company into sending coded love notes through billing automation. The collect call was more than a service. It was proof that before unlimited texting, we'd do anything to say "I'm outside" for free. 12. The mall fountain coin economy, approximately 180 words. In the 80s and 90s, malls were temples, and fountains were altars where people sacrificed spare change for luck. Those shimmering pools of pennies weren't just wishes, they were the economy of teen boredom. Kids would toss coins, whisper their hopes for romance or Nintendo games, and walk away. Meanwhile, janitors quietly became amateur treasure divers, scooping out buckets of oxidized dreams after hours. Some malls even had coin cleaning machines to process the take. Thousands of dollars a month in people's hope money. It was capitalism meets superstition, and it worked beautifully. Parents told kids not to wade in because it was gross, which only made it cooler. There was always that one daredevil who fished out a quarter, declaring himself rich. Those fountains weren't just decoration, they were the ritual center of mall life, glistening proof that humans will literally pay to believe in something, even if it's just a shiny puddle next to a Wetzel's pretzels. 13. The Cabbage Patch Riots, approximately 190 words. It was 1983, and America lost its collective mind over dolls that looked like potatoes with birth certificates. Cabbage Patch Kids were so popular, they caused actual riots in toy aisles. Grown adults threw punches over plush babies with yarn hair and names like Edgar Clyde. Department stores resembled war zones. Parents camped overnight, clawed through shelves, and one woman even hit a stranger with a handbag shouting, "That's my baby!" Each doll came adopted, complete with papers you signed like a deranged parent, and people paid hundreds for them on the black market. News anchors treated it like a national crisis. Mothers brawl for cabbage children. By Christmas, the dolls were scarcer than decency at a Walmart on Black Friday. Decades later, they sit in attics, silent, wide-eyed witnesses to the chaos they inspired. It was the first modern toy frenzy, proving that consumerism plus scarcity equals absolute madness. The Cabbage Patch craze wasn't about dolls. It was about pride, panic, and very bad parenting under fluorescent lights. 14. The AOL free trial scam, approximately 175 words. Nothing screams 90s nostalgia like an AOL free trial CD. They arrived by mail in cereal boxes, even inside magazines. Tiny plastic promises of 500 hours free that somehow never ended. People used them like digital coupons from heaven. When the trial ran out, you just grab another CD, create a new fake email, and start again. It was like living in the Matrix, but with dial-up. AOL kept mailing them, and we kept using them. A self-sustaining loop of corporate denial and consumer mischief. Some people even wallpapered their dorms with them. At one point, half of America's mailboxes were filled with AOL discs, which scientists later estimated could have formed an actual reflective shield around the planet. AOL thought they were building an empire. Really, they were funding a nationwide scavenger hunt for free internet. Every screeching dial-up tone was the sound of someone beating the system, one floppy trial at a time. 15. The compact disc tower of shame, approximately 185 words. Remember CD towers? Those 6-foot plastic monuments to musical excess that every living room proudly displayed like a Grammy shrine? Owning one meant you were serious about tunes and about wasting $18 per album. You'd spend hours alphabetizing, arguing whether Jagged Little Pill went under A or M. The jewel cases always cracked, the liner notes got lost, and the one CD you actually wanted to play was inevitably missing. But still, we kept buying them, because having 200 discs said something profound. I'm a person with taste and disposable income. Then came Napster, and suddenly all that shelf space was a tomb of obsolescence. CD towers turned into plant stands, cat perches, or ironic decor. But in their prime, they were trophies, proof you'd survived the Columbia House mail order scam and still had enough credit to buy, now that's what I call Music 4. Each disc was a tiny receipt for our collective obsession with owning sound itself. 16. The Infomercial Apocalypse, approximately 185 words. The late-night infomercial wasn't just TV. It was a hypnotic sermon about how broken your life was. You'd be half asleep when a man with too much hair gel shouted, "There's got to be a better way." Suddenly you were convinced you needed a self-stirring mug, a blanket with sleeves, and a device that slices bananas into perfect symmetry. They sold convenience like it was religion. The truth? You'd use it once, then store it next to your collection of other brilliant mistakes. The magic was in the editing. Every demo made ordinary life look like a slapstick nightmare. Who knew pouring milk could be so dangerous? By 3 a.m., you'd spent $59.99 plus shipping to solve a problem you didn't have. The products broke, the promises vanished, and yet you kept watching. Why? Because deep down, we all wanted to believe salvation could be delivered in 6 to 8 business days. 17. The Nintendo Power Glove disaster, approximately 190 words. In 1989, Nintendo convinced us that wearing a computer on your hand would make you a gaming god. The Power Glove looked like something straight out of the Terminator, futuristic, intimidating, and utterly useless. It promised total control, but what it delivered was a confusing mess of buttons, sensors, and heartbreak. You'd flail your arm like you were conducting an invisible orchestra, and your on-screen character would maybe move 2 pixels to the left. The commercials made it look like the future of gaming. Reality made it look like physical therapy gone wrong. Kids begged for it, parents bought it, and within 15 minutes of use, everyone regretted their life choices. Still, owning one meant status. You weren't just playing Nintendo, you were plugged into technology. It now sits in museums of bad ideas, a glove-shaped relic of optimism. It didn't change gaming, but it did teach an entire generation a valuable lesson. Not everything that looks cool actually works. 18. The Polaroid Party camera craze, approximately 170 words. Before Instagram, there was Polaroid, the only camera that gave you instant regret on paper. In the 80s and 90s, snapping a Polaroid felt like witchcraft. You'd take a photo, wave it like a sacred scroll, and wait as your overexposed face slowly appeared. The magic was addictive, so addictive that film packs cost a small fortune. Yet people kept buying them by the dozen, because nothing said fun like paying $1.50 per blurry memory. Polaroid even marketed special party editions. Neon plastic cameras designed to make you feel like a pop star. You could capture the moment instantly and discover that everyone blinked. Still, there was something deeply satisfying about holding a physical photo seconds after you took it, even if your thumbprint ruined it forever. It was expensive, unreliable, and chemically questionable. But for a while, Polaroid wasn't just a camera. It was the physical embodiment of, I was there, and I'm still paying for it. 19. The Fanny Pack Revolution, approximately 185 words. The fanny pack, fashion's middle finger to dignity. The 80s turned it from a tourist necessity into a full-blown accessory. Neon nylon pouches strapped proudly across American waistlines. The ultimate hands-free declaration of, I have nothing to hide except my wallet, keys, and shame. At first, they were practical. Then they became a style statement. You'd see dads on vacation, rollerbladers at the mall, even rappers on MTV wearing them like utility belts of misplaced confidence. They were convenient, yes, but also deeply uncool. Until, of course, fashion did what it always does and made them retro chic 30 years later. Entire industries thrived on those zippers, selling deluxe leather models for professionals on the go. And yet, every single person looked like they were smuggling a sandwich. The fanny pack's legacy is simple. Proof that if you give Americans storage, they'll wear it proudly, no matter how ridiculous it looks. 20. The disposable camera scam, approximately 170 words. Ah yes, the disposable camera, the 90s version of trusting the process. You'd take 27 pictures blindly, hand the camera to a clerk, and pray that at least 2 weren't photos of your thumb. Waiting a week for your memories to develop felt like gambling with film. And when they finally came back, blurry faces, red eyes, and one inexplicable shot of the ceiling. Yet we kept buying them for vacations, weddings, school trips, like masochists chasing nostalgia. They were marketed as freedom, a way to capture the moment without stress. In reality, they were glorified mystery boxes of disappointment. Some even came waterproof, so you could ruin your shots underwater too. Each flash felt powerful, like wielding lightning, right until you realized you'd wasted half the roll testing it. The disposable camera wasn't about photography. It was about faith. You pressed the button and hoped history remembered you clearly. It rarely did. 21. The phone card epidemic, approximately 180 words. Before smartphones, before free Wi-Fi, there was the prehistoric nightmare of the prepaid phone card. Airports, gas stations, even vending machines sold them like candy. $10 for 100 minutes, which somehow lasted 6. You'd scratch the back like a lottery ticket, call a 12-digit access number, then another 14-digit PIN, and by the time you connected, your minutes were gone. The ads promised freedom and savings. What you got was confusion, busy signals, and a crash course in emotional endurance. Everyone had a friend or relative who tried to beat the system by buying bulk cards at flea markets, only to discover they were already used. Some even collected them like baseball cards, convinced they'd be valuable one day. They weren't. The phone card era was short but glorious, a perfect storm of technological optimism and corporate trickery. It taught us one thing: talking to someone for free isn't priceless. It's a luxury we had to dial for, one beep at a time. 22. The mini disc mirage, approximately 175 words. In the mid-90s, Sony tried to reinvent music with the mini disc, a shiny square that promised the future of audio. It was smaller than a CD, cooler than a cassette, and twice as expensive as both. You needed a special player, special discs, and special patience to transfer songs at the speed of continental drift. Sony swore it would change everything, which was technically true. It changed how quickly your wallet emptied. For about 2 years, audiophiles bragged about owning one, while the rest of the world kept buying cheap CDs. Eventually, MP3s arrived and vaporized the mini-disc market overnight. By 2002, they were the musical equivalent of a Betamax tape, mysterious, bulky, and obsolete before anyone understood how to use them. The tragedy? They actually worked well. It's just that no one wanted to carry a pocket-sized science project. The mini-disc wasn't a format. It was a cautionary tale about trying to fix something that wasn't broken, the human ability to press play. 23. The Pepsi Points Jet Incident, approximately 190 words. In 1996, Pepsi aired a commercial joking that for 7 million Pepsi points, you could win a Harrier fighter jet. One guy saw that ad and said, "Challenge accepted." His name was John Leonard, and he did the math. 7 million points could be bought with cash equivalents. So he raised $700,000 from investors, mailed Pepsi a check, and demanded his jet. Pepsi's lawyers panicked, insisting it was a joke. John disagreed, taking them to court in what became one of the most gloriously stupid legal battles in advertising history. The judge ruled no reasonable person would expect a soda company to give away a military aircraft, which, let's be honest, overestimates America's reasonableness. Leonard didn't get the jet, but he became a legend. The story was so absurd it was later turned into a Netflix documentary, proving that sometimes you don't need to win to become immortal. You just need a coupon, a dream, and a complete disregard for reality. 24. The Scented Candle Obsession, approximately 175 words. By the 90s, scented candles became the suburban version of therapy. Lavender for stress, vanilla for romance, ocean breeze for pretending your house didn't smell like last night's meatloaf. Stores like Yankee Candle turned aroma into an economy, one that thrived on guilt and gift cards. People spent hundreds filling their homes with essence of tranquility, only to realize they were living in a wax-based smog. Lighting one felt spiritual, until it dripped on your tablecloth and fused itself to the furniture. The names got increasingly ridiculous. Autumn Whisper, Grandma's Hug, Freshly Laundered Emotions. We bought them anyway, chasing calm in jar form. Some folks even collected them, building candle empires worth more than their 401s, Ks. The truth is, no one needed that many candles. But there was comfort in pretending that the right scent could fix life's chaos. It couldn't, but it sure masked it beautifully for 45 minutes. 25. The Bluetooth earpiece era, approximately 180 words. Nothing said 2000s power player like a Bluetooth headset blinking in your ear. Suddenly, every mall dad and mid-level salesman looked like they were waiting for mission updates from NASA. You'd walk into a store, hear someone talking loudly to no one, and assume they'd lost their mind, only to see that glowing blue light. It was the ultimate illusion of importance. You weren't just grocery shopping, you were conducting business. The devices barely worked half the time, but that didn't matter. You were connected. They turned every conversation into a guessing game, phone call or public breakdown. Even worse were the people who never took them off. They slept, ate, and showered with that little ear parasite blinking Morse code into the void. Eventually, AirPods came along and made them look prehistoric. But for a few shining years, the Bluetooth earpiece was a badge of modern arrogance, proof you could multitask, monologue, and mortify strangers simultaneously. 26. The Blockbuster late fee extortion, approximately 190 words. Blockbuster, the sacred temple of weekend entertainment and corporate heartbreak. You'd wander aisles of plastic VHS boxes, basking in fluorescent light, clutching popcorn like treasure. But if you returned that movie even one day late, you'd owe a fine large enough to fund a small country. Late fees were Blockbuster's secret business model, a passive-aggressive tax on nostalgia. They made millions off forgetful dads and lazy teens. People would drive 40 minutes just to argue over $3.25 in penalties for Mrs. Doubtfire. When Netflix arrived with no late fees, Blockbuster laughed, then cried, then died. Their final store now exists in Oregon as a tourist attraction, preserved like a fossil of Friday nights past. The shelves may be empty, but the trauma of owing $27 for Twister lives on in all of us. Blockbuster didn't just rent movies, it rented time, and it charged interest on every minute of fun. 27. The Segway revolution that wasn't, approximately 185 words. When the Segway was announced in 2001, tech prophets called it the invention that would change the world. It was supposed to replace cars, sidewalks, and maybe even legs. Investors lined up. Steve Jobs allegedly said cities would be redesigned around it. What we got was an overpriced scooter that made everyone look like a mall cop on patrol. It required training, cost over $5,000, and topped out at jogging speed, assuming you didn't hit a curb and perform a $5,000 faceplant. Tourists used them. Billionaires pretended to. The Segway's biggest flaw wasn't engineering, it was ego. It promised the future, but delivered mild embarrassment. Even the company's owner famously died after driving one off a cliff, which felt like fate's review. Good effort. 2/10. Today, the Segway exists only as a punchline and a cautionary tale, proof that no matter how advanced the gadget, humanity will always prefer walking, if only to walk away from bad ideas. So, which of these money-wasting masterpieces deserves a comeback? Vote for your favorite disaster below.